What's in a name? Well, if your name is Matt or Steve, maybe not much. But if your name is Noble Viking Ragnar, people might expect some pretty great things. The Viking Ragnar IEM's origin starts with the Noble Viking. $7,900 limited edition 10-driver Tribrid IEM with a shell and faceplate constructed entirely of Damascus steel. Viking Ragnar cuts the price about in half, pulls back on the precision steelwork involved, but gives you that same sound, same tuning, and same 10-driver Tribrid configuration. So, can Noble Viking Ragnar deliver a sound of epic proportions that lives up to its name? Let's take a closer look. If you need IEMs that come in a bond-proof case, Noble has you covered. As the whole package comes in this heavy-duty Nanook 903 case. Pop that open, and we'll find another smaller case inside with the IEMs. Open this up. Regrettably, there is not another smaller case inside of this case. I know some of you are really disappointed about that, but instead you get these IEMs. So we'll look at the IEMs themselves in just a second. Just to the side for now. So we get ear tips, another smaller case, I guess. Wristband, warranty, sticker card, and everything else. This was a demo unit, so I'm not 100% sure that's the full retail package in there, but that's basically what you're going to get. So let's go ahead, look at the IEMs themselves. So these are really striking, and while they're not fully Damascus steel, the faceplates are still Damascus steel. It's really a great looking IEM, aluminum shell here, and you can see there's like a runic pattern carved onto the side of the IEMs. I'm not sure what that actually says or if it says anything. I'm sure Noble will let you know. And then the other highlight here is the Magnus cable. It's an 8-core cable that features graphene, monocrystalline silver, copper silver alloy. Really nice cable, feels great, good heft to it while remaining soft and pretty tangle resistant, as long as I don't just like totally scrunch it up. But it's a really incredible cable that goes with this IEM. Now, regrettably, there were no axes, helmets, or anything else that would assist you in your quest to pillage the European coastline in this package. So let's go ahead and talk about the sound. Viking Ragnar's overall tuning is probably best described as a neutral reference sound, with a bit of a focus toward clarity and definition. The technical aspects are highly impressive with great speed, precision, and impeccable detail retrieval. The bass is brought to you by dual dynamic drivers, but don't expect any kind of emphasis down there. The bass performance is very technical, but largely linear through the sub bass, and again, it's a neutral presentation of the bass. There's great bass performance when bass is called for, but not the kind of emphasis that's going to bring out bass that's not there in the original recording. So then that goes down into the mids, again, very largely neutral, flat mids, but not flat in terms of feeling, just flat in terms of the sort of EQ tuning of the mids. There's a lot of thickness and weight in the mids, and I think this is something that really does stand out on Viking Ragnar, are these very realistic, natural sounding mids with lots of presence and weight to them. The treble is very well extended, and again, this is a mostly neutral feeling treble, You get just a couple drops of spicy sauce right around that 10K range that helps enhance that feeling of clarity and of definition in the treble. But I found it is well balanced in a way that didn't create fatiguing tones with just about anything I tried it with. They managed to balance that clarity and that definition with a largely non-fatiguing sound, even with that slight emphasis in the treble. Viking Ragnar has an exceptionally wide soundstage and creates a really immersive holographic 3D image within that space. All the aspects of the imaging are really strong, from the left to right to the depth, the front to back imaging as well. Separation is strong, but Viking Ragnar for an IEM at this level does tend to lean a little bit towards cohesion over separation, where you get the strong positioning, you also get a really great cohesive sound that brings the instruments together and fills in some of the space in between. For comparison, we brought in the Empire Ears Odin, which again is sort of been a standard that we compare a lot of IEMs against. It's very popular in this upper tier $3,000 plus price range. The only difference between the two in terms of the driver count is Odin has one more balanced armature driver than Viking Ragnar. Viking Ragnar is also a bit more expensive. So the question is, does Ragnar justify that price increase over Odin? Coming up from the bottom, the tuning does start really similarly, with this largely neutral, very well extended bass that gives you this really fast technical delivery, lots of great texture coming from these dual dynamic drivers. And again, into the mids at first, they both feel largely neutral in those lower mids there. I find that Viking Ragnar feels like there's a little bit more weight there than Odin. And as you get into the upper mids, this is where things get a little bit different, where Odin has this lift in the upper mids that makes it a little bit of a V-shaped sound with, again, a little emphasis in the bass, bigger emphasis in the mid-range in that upper mid section. And one thing this really gets is the vocal imaging. Odin has this really intense sense of the vocal performance that I think still makes it stand out among IEMs at this flagship level, but it also brings with it some tendency toward fatigue there. So there's some trade-off between this intensity of vocal imaging and the potential for fatigue, some sibilant or harsh tones with the Odin, where Ragnar avoids that with still really strong vocal performance, but not that same level of intensity. But Ragnar does it without any of that more fatiguing potential there in the upper mids. And as you move up into the treble, there are some similarities in the way that second, but it's kind of the second bump for the Odin, but it's the first bump for the Ragnar. Those two bumps are kind of similarly constructed. With Odin, though, you do feel that upper mid bump a little bit more than that one around like that 10K treble range, where with Ragnar, that 10K bump's a little bit more notable than on Odin, but otherwise well-extended treble there. Now, when it comes to the soundstage and imaging, Ragnar is definitely wider than Odin. And I think where the difference really comes down to is Odin presents that stronger sense of holographic separation, while Ragnar presents strong holographic imaging and separation, but a stronger sense of cohesion of, again, that space in between each instrument in the image. So again, Odin, if you want this intense separation, Odin will give that to you. If you prefer a little bit more of a cohesive sound at the cost of some of that intensity, then Viking Ragnar gives you that slightly more cohesive, slightly less intense sound. Viking Ragnar's namesake, Ragnar Lothbrok, was a king who's been immortalized in poems and songs, the history of which have been passed down and survived for 1,000 years. Now, I don't expect people will be talking about the Viking Ragnar IEM in 1,000 years. I haven't written any poems about it yet either, but they do deserve a place among the kings of IEMs for the way that they can bring out detail, emotion, and power in a song. Thanks for watching. And check out Viking Ragnar and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more hi-fi personal audio content.